Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and we have our beautiful guide, Candace, here with us as well. I will give her a formal introduction in just a moment. But we need to get started with our Emotional Well-Being Month. So we just closed out, we're in our Rooted in Well-Being series, where April was physical well-being, May was mental well-being, and now we're in June, which is all about emotional well-being. And if for those of you who have been on Motivational Monday before, probably back like in the winter seasons, we actually talked a bit about music. And I found out that a lot of you are also music lovers. So drop 111 in the chat if you're a music lover like us, because I really believe that music is a universal language beyond anything else. I feel like in traveling to so many different, I mean, I haven't traveled to so many different countries, being in different cultures, you learn that as well. Music connects people in ways that words can't always do. So, with that, I do have a poll that I'm going to pull up in a moment just to get a little bit of feedback for how our mental well being series was for you for May. All of that I use. Every survey that you ever see, all the comments that you leave, I look at every single one of them. I see what you all are saying. I take it into effect. I don't always comment on it, but it's always being worked into what we're doing. So, it matters a lot to me to have your feedback. It also matters a lot to me for you to be active in the chat and to be a part of this conversation because, I mean, Candace and I have great conversations with or without you, but when we are on this screen, these conversations are really for you. And obviously, they're healing and cathartic for us. We get to have deeper realizations, we get to pull from each other, but we also want to grab that energy from you, especially on Motivational Monday, which is such a catalyzing day of the week. And let me tell you, today and last night has personally sucked for me. And Motivational Monday is my favorite day of the week. And the fact that I still got to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I get to show up on Motivational Monday. I get to feel good. I get to have some great energy. As much as this is for you, it's also for me. And I love and Candace, and I love being able to be here. So my hope is that all of us get to be elevated by this, that we get to have a great experience, and that we get to start our week in a way that propels us forward for the whole entire week and sets the tone and gives us some good energy. So Candace, I need to find your bio. I did not add it into the notes. This is what happens when you have a hard Sunday/Monday. You just got to figure it out as you go along. But Candace, as I'm pulling up your bio, we all have patience. As I'm pulling up your bio, I would love for you to give us some of your energy, whether it's like introing the topic that we're talking about today or just giving us some words of wisdom. And then I'll give you your formal intro and we can get started with the conversation. Oh, and while she's doing that, let me pull the poll up. Duh. So this is a quick poll. It's relatively easy. I use these results. And one thing I do want to say, Candace, before you start speaking is, and Candace was a part of our April well-being for physical well-being. She did our larger 1 hour connect session with us. She did our live mentoring with us, and she also did a motivational Monday with us. So she was a huge part of all of that. And you want to know what happened during the month of April? 88% of you saw an increase in your physical well-being.
Wow.
Right?
So
I
proud of
know. So I'm
y'all.
gonna leave you with that to say some things, and I'm gonna find your bio.
Okay, just cut me off when you're ready. Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm super hyped because my birthday's in a week. So you're gonna get extra, extra Gemini today. But no, for real, like I'm really excited to be here. Of course, I love showing up with y'all. And I'm excited to do this opener for the month because music is everything to me. Like my husband knows, like I cannot do anything without music. It's the soundtrack to my day. I shower with it. I work out with it. I sleep with it. I talk on the phone with it. I have to have music at all times. And music is one of those things that is catharsis. It is renewing. It is healing. And fun fact, June is actually Black Music Appreciation Month. And so I really wanted to get into music as healing because I don't think a lot of us really consider music an emotional like tool in our arsenal, but it really is. Actually, President Jimmy Carter designated June as Black Music Month back in the 70s in 79, and then President Obama continued it and President Joe Biden continued it. So it's been a thing, and I really just wanted music to be a topic like an unsung bars, an unsung kind of conversation about how healing it is. And so I really want to get into three areas where music can be healing. So it's not going to directly just all be about music. It's going to be music as a soundtrack to other things for your emotional healing. So whenever y'all ready, we ready and we're going to get started. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I didn't know that, but June really was giving me some Black history energy in general. So the fact that this has that tied in element is so beautiful. And I
Yes.
feel like again, sometimes we live in such a world where we don't necessarily realize the tools that we have or how they impact us. And music is such an easy tool. It's around us at all times. So this is so beautiful. But this is Candace. And a bunch of you are giving her happy birthdays in the chat, which I'm
Thank
so
you
happy about.
guys.
But
Thank
let
y'all.
me tell you about her. For those of you who are here for your first time, you can drop 222 in the chat if this is your first time for any of our events. And you can drop 333 in the chat if you have been here over and over and you love us and you just can't get enough of us.
I know y'all can.
Right? It's true. So, Candace is a devoted wife, dog mom, and purpose driven entrepreneur. After nearly 8 years as a medical coder, emotional burnout led her to take a leap of faith and found her own wellness enterprise. Diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder in 2015, with additional diagnoses in 2020, Candace embraced intensive therapy in 2023. Yes, that's an 8 year journey. You read that right. You heard that right. And now proudly advocates for healing. She's an NASM certified personal trainer. Listen to this. There's so many things on this list. She's too cool. She's an NASM certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, behavioral change specialist, currently pursuing clinical exercise, psychologist, marriage and family therapist, and licensed clinical counselor, ultimately pursuing a doctorate in sports psychology. Guided by faith, she's on a mission to heal the world, one beautiful soul at a time, and actively advocates for people of color to reclaim their health, restore their minds, and rise in their power. So, this is the beautiful soul that we get to have a conversation with today. And I am so excited. You all are so sweet in the comments. So, let's
Yes.
see who's new here before we dive in because you all deserve some recognition. Jasmine, welcome. Janisha, ooh, beautiful name. Karina, Ashley, Margarita, Anna, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And let's just dive straight into the conversation, Candace. So, I we're talking about music and we're having this beautiful conversation. And again, for those of you who, if you're inspired during this conversation, please leave something in the comments. If there's a song that you want to share with people, please, oh my gosh, please leave it in the comments. But let's talk a little bit more about Black History Month and music as catharsis and what it looks like to have music be a part of your emotional well-being journey.
Yeah. So even though we're talking about emotional, well-being, and we're talking about Black Music Appreciation Month, I don't really want any of our days, but especially today when we have these conversations, to be a lecture. I want it to be a conversation about mental and emotional and all the well-beings, but obviously we're here for emotional, and how we hold it, how we heal it, and how we just embrace it. So even though, I did mention that it's Black Music Appreciation Month, that music may not be your thing. I mean, it's kind of enwrapped in every genre, but it's not for just one kind of person. It's for anybody trying to show up and be a better version of themselves, better this year, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, physically. Girl, just you and who you are. When we talk about music, no matter what month it is for music or what month it is, it's just a reminder of how music, Black music, Latin music, AAPI music, Indigenous music, any music, it's just been a powerful outlet for us as catharsis as a people because we all come from different cultures. We've all offered the world something that's healing. A lot of times, I think when we listen to music, we sometimes just listen, and I think what a lot of the times what we should start doing is listening to what maybe the artist or the instrumentalist is saying that we cannot say. Even with like lo-fi, right? Like during the pandemic, I was suffering from deep, deep depression. I couldn't even listen to music with words. That's how crazy, because I'm a music lover. I'm a savant. I quote lyrics, like Kira knows in the chat, I quote lyrics as my response to like our conversations. And I just think it's important to sit, just like savoring your food, right? Or being present in the moment. I think it's important to be present when it comes to music. Like sometimes Beyonce or Sade, they say things that I can't. Or even Kendrick, I'm from LA, so I'm like a huge hip hop lover. Kendrick, he did an interview where he talked about how he knows people that can't say things because they've been raised in aggression and in a difficult environment. So there's certain things that he writes lyrics for that those people can't say. So even if it's like an outlet of frustration or more negative emotion. That's what music should be. So savor the music, chew on the lyrics or chew on the instruments because some of us just like classical, jazz, you know what I mean? And when I watched Sinners, I had an appreciation for blues, even blues. Blues is like the deepest form of catharsis in music, right? And I just want us to be able to embrace it as something that's healing instead of just playing a song in the background. Make it your soundtrack, make it something you actually listen to, and make like a playlist, make a healing or ritualistic playlist that you can have throughout your day that speaks to you. I have a playlist called Calm Chill when I'm going through anxiety or depression. I have a playlist where I'm feeling like a bad girl, you know what I mean? My workouts. I have playlists because those lyrics actually can speak to me. And yes, music can speak to your soul. So I wanted to open up with music itself as catharsis because we forget the roots of music are actually about the artist expressing themselves. And so we should be internalizing that in a way to help us maybe listen to the words that we maybe couldn't have expressed on our own or the instruments as well too.
That's so beautiful. And there's
Yeah.
so many great nuggets that you just dropped, but it really is like I feel very similarly about books that I do about music. And in the way that I feel similarly about them is that we all live our own experience. And in reality, that's the only one that we get to feel and experience. But if you're taking yourself to places where you get to be put in the perspective of someone else, like there are books that are phenomenal. Last month was Asian American Pacific Islander Native Hawaiian Month.
Yeah.
That's a big acronym, but there's
Okay.
an artist, her name is Celeste Ng. She talks about her experience as a Chinese American in a country that really has a horrible backlog of Chinese experience. And I don't know
Mhm.
what that's like. I'm Hispanic, I'm Italian, I know what my experience is like, but it's the same thing for music as well, where you get to hear what other people have been through and you get to understand different perspectives and you get to understand different walks of life. And this is even beautiful in regards to emotional well-being because a lot of times we can see separation in others and we can see the ways that we're different and we can see all of the ways in which we are different. But if we start hearing people's stories, and if we start putting ourselves in other people's shoes, and if we start listening to understand, then we start getting different perspective and we walk through the world with more of an open heart, with a brighter perspective, with a different way to see the world. And it's just a beautiful part of the journey. And I always think back to Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny dropped his album in December or January-ish. This man was top in the world, like 5 songs on the top 10 charts in the world. He only speaks Spanish in his songs.
Wow.
He's talking about Puerto Rican like problems of gentrification in Puerto Rico. He's talking about all of these things. No one knows what this man is saying. Well, I mean, a bunch
Mhm.
of people do because they speak Spanish, but his
Yeah.
tours are are selling out in Germany and all these other places where they don't primarily speak Spanish, but they're going because there's something that's pulling them, and there really is this deeper desire to be connected. And that's exactly what I took from Sinners as well. My friend, his message that he took from Sinners was be careful who you let in because you never know what their intentions are. Mine was the power of music and how it connects people and how
Mm,
it brings people together. So I really love that. I love that you have different albums. I operate based on feelings. So my playlists are like feels like sunshine, feels like
mm.
self-love, feels like feels fierce. Like things like that for me, it's like what feeling do I want to invoke today? What do I
Yeah.
actually need? So I really love that and I want to dive in a little bit more possibly to the different hormones that we have flowing through our bodies. I think we're going to talk a little bit about exercise, and I think that's a beautiful conversation to bring music into as well. But
Yes.
let's talk about it. Let's talk about these hormones and the way that we can balance ourselves as well in other ways too.
Yeah. So, first I want to ask you guys a question. what is a song or a set of songs or an album that helped you cry when you needed to? Or is there a song that pulls you out of a slump, like we talked about playlists and stuff? Um, Music is a form of medicine, right? And coupled with music, I would think most people it would be kind of odd for me to come across someone who doesn't use music while they work out, but that's another kind of catalyst that actually works faster than music alone, and that's movement. So when we talk about movement, I like to call it the acronym of DOSE, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which are all of the positive hormones that you can express when you do certain things, right? When you have balance, right? And specifically when we talk about emotional regulation, it's oxytocin and serotonin. So, serotonin is something that I was actually deficient in, and a lot of us can be deficient in. And actually, having a lack of sun can lead to dips in serotonin. But serotonin is overall just emotional regulation and balance. And then with oxytocin, it's actually what's probably widely known as like the love hormone, but it's something that helps you have connection and trust with people, and that can be invoked through exercise. So when you couple exercise with music, imagine the emotional surplus you're getting from the music that you've set as your playlist, coupled with the exercise that you're doing, and you're getting your endorphins, you're getting your oxytocin, you're getting your serotonin. Like, how many of y'all just feel like you want to love on or hug someone after you have a good workout, right? Or you just feel more balanced. A lot of times what I do is when I host my classes on the weekends, I have us journal after, because right after we do our strength training, our Pilates, our yoga, I feel like that's the prime opportunity. I try to be opportunistic with it. As soon as we're done, let's just be emotionally productive. Let's let out all the emotions that were maybe bottled up or you couldn't really put into words or articulate before you release them through movement, right? And I want to be very careful with the idea of movement because a lot of people aren't into working out, and I want to think of emotional regulation and these things we're talking about not as working out but working through. We're working through our emotions, not working out. So gardening, walking, anything that is movement. It could be cleaning. For how many of y'all feel like a good day of cleaning the house is your cardio? That is all day me. I have way too much carpet for it not to feel like cardio when I'm carpet cleaning. And so honestly, I just think of movement as something that you're doing just to get your good hormones going. One of the things, and I've said this before, one of the main reasons that I exercise is not for the just the bare physical components. Those are obviously necessary and those happen. I do it for emotional regulation because I have to be very careful with my serotonin levels. And so I have to work out. I feel a difference positively when I move, and I have to have music with it. I have to have a playlist. And like you said, Kira, I usually try to have a playlist that goes off of feeling. So sometimes I don't have a playlist that's rap and hip hop. Sometimes it's lo-fi. Sometimes it's R&B while I'm working out. It could be a hardcore strength day, heavy day, but I'm still listening to classical, Coltrane, um, lo-fi. I'm listening to stuff that goes based off of how I'm feeling that day. So I really want to emphasize movement. I really want to emphasize that it's not just going to the gym or it's not just running a mile, or that it's whatever movement works for you, and adding music to that is just kind of coupling it with something that's already healing, which is music, but also adding the component of movement and exercise too.
Yeah, and it makes me think of dancing too. Like,
Yes,
put
dancing.
on music that makes you
Yes,
move. And
yes,
we have broken out the categories into physical well-being, mental well-being, and emotional well-being, but the truth is that they're all connected. So yeah,
yes.
we're bringing April topics into June, and we're bringing May topics into June because they really do all connect. But they're Mama Gina teaches this. She's basically women's empowerment without men's disempowerment. She just is empowerment for like people being who they were supposed to be and the energies that they were supposed to be and embracing that. And she talks about swamping. And she's like, make a playlist that's gonna make you feel, especially when you're sad. If you're the type of person who doesn't like to feel your sad emotions, or it's hard to get you past the point of thinking about it to feeling it, making a playlist can be super helpful. And I'm curious how many of you are that type of person. Drop 555 in the chat if sometimes you struggle with that. I do. But I put on an album this morning and I had my little tears flowing and I was like, thank goodness I needed this. I needed some of this let out. And it can be, so it's called swamping, what Mama Gina talks about. And it's where you create a playlist. It can be 3 or 4 or 5 songs, and they can be in a very specific journey. Like, okay, the first song that I need to make sure that I feel my feels is a really sad one or something that's really nostalgic and gets me even deeper in my feels. And then the next one, I need it to be like a little angrier, a little ragier, so that I can actually like process it and stomp it out or dance it out. The next one, I need it to be like a little slower, a little calmer, but still have that beat and that oomph so that I can like start to come out of it and maybe the next one is happy. Whatever. It can be that
Wow.
whole journey, but that's what swamping is creating a playlist. It can be as long or as short as you want that takes you on your journey to getting deeper. And it's one of
Yeah.
those things like I've been thinking about this. I read her book like 2 or 3 years ago. I've been thinking about this for 3 years and I still have yet to make the playlist, but it's in my head, right? And there are some things that are a seed planted that take a long time to blossom. There are other things that are a seed planted that blossom immediately. But this is where we start to get into the actual healing and catharsis of music. And that's why pairing music and movement is so good because you all, if you were on the episode that we did in May for mental well-being, we talked about how the body keeps the score. Emotions are stored in the body. If you don't process that, it shows up as pains and anxieties and depressions and so many struggles that are normal in our day to day are because we don't actually process what we're going through, and music is a universal language. You don't have to say anything. How beautiful is it that you don't have to tell anyone how you're feeling? You don't have to get vulnerable with anyone else. You don't have to go anywhere else but your little corner of your little world and go on your journey and feel whatever you need to feel for a moment. That's like the beauty of what music gets to bring us for our emotional healing.
Exactly. And just to speak to that too, when you mentioned Bad Bunny, a lot of times we can feel the emotion of a singer. Like I can listen to the language of someone that I don't understand, like indigenous, for instance, and just listen to the emotion of the singer without knowing exactly what they're saying, and that can be healing. That can speak to me even if I don't know exactly what they're saying. So I completely agree with the universal language of it all, and it doesn't matter the sonic acoustic feel of it. It can be healing in and of itself.
Absolutely. I love that. So we're coming close to an end. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. There's a Q&A box at the end. Please leave any questions and we can answer them in the next 6 minutes while we are starting to close out. So if you have questions about music or if you have questions about emotional healing or if you're like, I feel this and I've tried to do what you're saying and I don't know what to do you have any suggestions? We can help you with that. One of the beautiful things you heard all of the amazing things that this wonderful woman does in her life and the ways that she's evolved herself. Let me tell you, this woman has not taken on all of the things that she's taken on just to help herself. She's helped herself first so that she can help you next. And that's why she's a guide. And that's why she's here in Life Guides. And if you guys don't know what Life Guides is, we have 2 layers of what we do. It's a free service through your employer. You don't have to pay for anything. You just get to show up. So we have the events, which you're here right now experiencing, exploring, enjoying. And then we also have one-on-one calls with our guides. So I create these events to show you our guides so that you can have someone to take you on a more personal journey and help you become the person that you are looking to become. Candace is one of them. She gets to help you. She gets to take you on her journey. So if you love her story or the way that she talks or if something connects with you, perfect person to go to. So I'm going to drop her profile in the chat. But Candace, let me see if there's anything in the Q&A. There's nothing in the Q&A yet. So I know there were a couple of more topics that you wanted to talk about. Start closing us out. Take us on the last journey that you want to take us on. And then if anything pops up in the Q&A, we can make sure that that gets taken care of and supported.
Absolutely. Yes. So just to close out, as I opened, y'all, I told y'all that my birthday is next Monday. And so I don't know if any other Geminis are in the chat and y'all crazy and y'all celebrate your birthday all month. I do. And so, but I think that just speaks to celebrating yourself. Celebrate yourself with music as your thank y'all so much. Woo woo. Celebrate yourself all month, right? I want you to celebrate yourself all year. And that's really what I want to close with. Celebrating yourself is not a luxury. And like I said about rest in one of our previous conversations, it's not something you earn. Don't just celebrate yourself with a milestone. Celebrate yourself.
Mm.
Woke up today. The sun is shining or it's pretty clouds, whatever. Make it beautiful even if it's gloomy, right? Celebrate yourself no matter what. I have I deserve to celebrate myself because I am here. I pushed through those thoughts that try to tell me otherwise. And I want you to take the time to honor yourself, honor your life. And I want to ask y'all, when's the last time y'all celebrated yourself, right? I really want y'all to know, and when's the last time you were honest with someone when they asked how you were doing and you didn't lie and say you were fine, you were okay, whatever, when you really weren't? Thank y'all again. But yes, I want you guys to make sure you celebrate yourself. Milestones included. Don't My husband has this thing where he's learning to celebrate himself at milestones because usually he just pushed through. He's a veteran. So I think the military is one of those things that teaches you just to push through. And that could be in many walks of life besides just being a service member. But I want you guys to stop and honor yourselves often, no matter what the time is, no matter what the day is. Honor yourself often, honor yourself every day, and have that track list, that playlist of celebration. You could have a celebratory. Me and my husband have a celebration playlist for our wedding still. We play it all the time. And it just reminds us of those feelings of our union and how music connected us. One of our first few dates was about music. We love Trey songs. And so we were just like, I like this song, I like this song. That became part of our celebration playlist. And what it does is it just helps honor ourselves as a unit and honor ourselves as individuals and how far we've come. So make sure you guys celebrate yourself and make sure you ask yourself, when was the last time I did, so you can continue to do so.
I love that. And that's a perfect way to start closing this out. It's been a while since I've asked you all this. When, and tell us in the chat, when was the last time you told yourself that you love yourself? Never? Today? Yesterday? 5 years ago? That's going to be the biggest thing that gives you the permission. Look at you. So many of you in the chat are like me right now today. That's going to be what's going to start your journey and give you the permission to be where you're at. Because a lot of us are running on default modes. Our parents, our grandparents didn't know how to love us the ways that we needed to love. And they didn't teach us our worthiness and they didn't teach us how to express ourselves healthily. And that's okay. The generations before us were doing the best that they could. Now we get to show up and do the best that we could. So a lot of you are also saying, I don't remember, probably never. Some of you are saying right now. I love that. But this is really a journey. If we're talking about emotional well being, if there's one thing that you can do, tell yourself that you love yourself. And trust me, it's going to feel weird at first. That's okay. You're going to be like, why am I telling myself this? But when you tell yourself that you love yourself, you start knowing your value. You show up different. You walk different. People show up for you different. Your relationships thrive. Your work life thrives. Your personal life thrives. And it is the foundation that rules everything in our existence, but we forget that and we're not taught that. And that's why, we have these conversations here in Life Guides where we get to show up with you. We're not just having these conversations because they sound cool. We're having these conversations to make a real impact. And one of the greatest things you can do is just tell yourself on a daily basis that you love yourself. And trust me, this conversation might end right now and it might take you a month to remember to be like, dang, I love myself. That's okay. It's a part of the journey. But now you know, now you have a seed planted. And especially on the days where you're struggling and you wish that you could do more and you want to push yourself harder and you don't know how to stop and you don't know how to slow down, I love myself. I'm doing my best. I love myself. I'm doing my best. Let me put on a little playlist. I'm just doing my best right now, but I love myself through it, right? So, thank you all for being here. We have our larger emotional well being conversation next Wednesday, and I am going to drop that in the chat for you. Do I have that here? Yeah. So, I'm going to drop that in the chat for you. Thank you all so much for being here. It is the top of the hour. Do you have any final short words, Candace, before I end the session?
Yes, I just want you guys to make a playlist out of a mantra to make space for grace for yourself, move through the bull, and celebrate yourself despite all else. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. We will see you next Monday talking about how grief is more than just someone dying. And then we'll have our larger emotional well being conversation on Wednesday. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.